Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at quantum eMotion. It is time for another update, and this was a stock analysis request from one of the members, and I tried to cover as many as possible, but with the current demand it isn't realistic for me to go through all of them, and when a video slot is open I will generally focus on the high demand stocks and member requests. Now, if you want to directly support the channel, you can join the membership and help us continue to provide this content as we grow and improve it. Additionally, there is a newsletter available. Yeah, it's free, it doesn't cost anything to subscribe to it. You can check the link in the video description. Now, on this chart, we have been tracking this idea of an impulse where we would be tracking a series of 1-2 setups within this area, and right now I'm tracking this as a third wave to the upside. This isn't necessarily the only interpretation, but it is probably my preferred one and will continue to be as long as we hold the relevant levels of support for continuation higher and follow through of this structure. Right now, the downtrend that has been on this chart isn't really a threat anymore, as we have formed new all-time highs and we are focused strictly on the uptrend, strictly on the idea of an impulse as long as it is possible. And with the upcoming listing on the New York Stock Exchange, there is expected to be quite a lot of upside. Now, personally, I wouldn't trust this information at all as an indication to look for continued upside, even within our expectations necessarily. It sounds to me more like a buy the rumors, sell the news event, and it actually kind of ties in with our expectations rather, that we would be towards the end of a quite substantial uptrend, after which we could be looking at a more serious correction. So, in this wave 3 we are tracking in this area. Remember, we have a series of 1-2 setups potentially. Doesn't matter exactly how many right now, but we are focusing on this as a wave 3. Within this wave 3 we have a wave 1, 2 and 3 complete, we have the wave 4 in place, and we are looking to build a 5th wave as an ending diagonal. We have pushed briefly below the area of support for the wave 4, but nothing too significant that I would consider a break. However, right now, we would be looking to build a 5th wave of a larger wave 3, but we would still be at risk of forming the top within a larger uptrend. On this chart, I do still strongly expect that we will form another high, but I wouldn't necessarily see continued upside within this pattern as a high probability. So within this structure, I believe the wave 1, 2 and 3 are complete. We have been looking for a possible extensions within an internal wave C in this area. Yeah, we would be looking for a 1, 2, 3rd, 4th and a 5th instead. But based on the latest developments since the previous video, it's not something I would really trust anymore, even though we didn't necessarily break the area of support for such an expectation. I'm not completely ruling out such a possibility, but I also wouldn't necessarily trust it, and I would probably need to look instead at something like a 1-2 setup, and that might seem a little bit more reasonable. Now, nonetheless, we can track this idea for continuation to higher prices, and we can track this area of support that we can update now. And if this was to be an internal A, B, C structure to unfold, I would have expected to have already bottomed in the wave B, in the initial push to the downside somewhere within this area, not necessarily drag this on for a month. And I have to say, I strongly prefer the white interpretation at this point, but I just cannot rule out this possibility of an extension in this wave 3, and that is exactly what we will be tracking. But I wouldn't use this structure as a high probability trade setup, as it is only within a 3-wave pattern, and the white interpretation actually assumes we have a more significant top within a 5th wave. That is also a perfectly valid count. Now, I won't even be tracking an exact count within this yellow interpretation. I will be looking for a potential extension in a wave 3 in this area, in this wave C. And other than that, we are focusing strictly on the levels of support between the $3.3 all the way down to the $1.3 level. So I would still focus on the idea that we would be within a 5th wave of a 5th wave, and we have actually quite some strong signs on the RSI, even on the daily, even on the weekly, that a more substantial top would be coming sooner rather than later. So in this wave C to the upside, we are tracking a 5-wave pattern. That is a requirement for the wave C to be a valid structure. In this 5th wave, we already see a substantial divergence in place. If we go on the weekly, Well, firstly, we also see it on the weekly, but additionally, we see a divergence for this entire wave to the upside. Yeah, we have formed here this wave 3 top, we have our high on the RSI, we have formed a higher high, actually a couple of higher highs on the chart, and a lower high on the RSI. This is once again suggesting that we would be closer to a more significant top. It's not a requirement, but I would be extremely cautious of any long positions right now without a very reliable internal structure. Because I could be looking at this indeed to form the 4th and the 5th to still take us to higher prices, but at the same time, it is within a diagonal pattern and it will be a generally less reliable structure to track. At the same time, I could be looking at this entire wave to the upside as a diagonal structure in a 1, 2, 3rd, 4th, and a 5th. In this case, we would have an ABC in a wave 1, ABC in a wave 3, ABC in a wave 5, and we would have a more substantial top. So right now I'm waiting for the initial 5-wave move to the upside for a signal that a more substantial bottom is in place. The good news is that this structure to the downside seems corrective, and we will likely be looking for a good chance to form a reversal, but I would still need to wait for evidence. Now, in terms of the pattern itself, I wouldn't assume too much to be going on. I could see here something like a 1, 2, 3rd, 4th, and a 5th. In such an expectation, I would be watching the area of resistance for continuation to lower prices at the levels between the $4.1 all the way up to the $4.7. A break above the 61.8% retracement would be a good signal that a more substantial bottom might be in place, but as of now, I don't necessarily have reliability on the internal pattern in this structure. So, once again, we are looking for continuation to higher prices against the $1.3 level. We still have plenty of room within the area of support. The correction in this structure does seem like it might have formed a more substantial bottom, and we have pushed beyond the 61.8% retracement briefly, but I would need further evidence, especially since we didn't even get into our larger area of support in white that starts at the $3.3 level. Now, before we end the video, I wanted to remind you of our newsletter where we will have monthly top picks. You can find the link for subscribing in the description. It is completely free, and the opportunity to join our Discord community when it launches will initially be available only to those subscribers. I also want to bring up briefly the channel membership for those of you who would like to directly support the content. You will get priority to replies and analysis requests when there is a video slot available for that, although to be fully transparent, this does not guarantee coverage. You will additionally get access to member videos. Currently it is a work in progress, but I plan to post 1 or 2 this week already. If you want the full details on this, you can check out the channel update on the homepage or click the card at the end of this video. But don't worry, this will not restrict the content most of you care about. These member videos are mostly dedicated to stocks and assets that generally underperform on the channel and that I would not be able to post publicly anyway because it affects the channel's algorithm. And for now, there isn't much else to add. These are the levels. This is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.